to this. So, we're going to be doing, yes, every night, every day, we're going to be doing a live comic book review from yours truly. And tonight's comic book review is the entire saga of the IBIS mystery, from part 1 to part 4, and then the new part which came out this year. And yes, I've already done a review of the first 4 parts, but I thought I would do a complete review of the complete saga, including the original saga and including the new sequel as well. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you again for supporting the channel and supporting what we do at Phantom Cave Reviews and supporting the stuff I make. Supporting and watching the things that I make. So let's get into it. The cover, all of these covers have been done by the wonderful, the very, very talented Grange Wallace. So let's get into it. The first part of this comic book series, this comic book saga, is called The Evil Paradise, and it is issue number 1873, and let's go. Okay, The Phantom, the IBIS Mystery, Part 1, Evil Paradise. So, in this first part, we have this evolving story. That Old Man Moz is telling Guran, and Guran then looks around and says, "Oh, the Phantom, he's hurt." And then he goes and questions the Phantom. "Oh, but what happened? I can't remember." And then he has a bit of a layoff, and then the big almighty sleep and a big almighty adventure starts. And it starts with this particular amulet, this particular stormy night day where he discovers this tomb, and he discovers these ancient ruins, and he discovers that this person is trapped under a rock. So he helps that person. They find this amulet that is inside a bird, and what happens is that bird, I'm not going to spoil anything, but that bird has a very, very, very big impact on all the rest of the parts. And this story was wrote by, before I forget, this story was wrote by Norman Walker, and the artist was Kari Lepinen, and was first published by SAGA Press in Phantom number 21 in 1993. So that gives us an understanding of how old this story is. So we're in 2023 right now. This storyline was first published in 1993. It was first published in Australian comic book magazine, The Phantom, in Australia by few publications in, I think, 1995. So that gives us around 2 years after after the Norwegian people saw it and read it and was amazed by it. And now 30 years later, we're now reliving what this amazing story is. And, well, it was published in 1993. A few publications reprinted it in 2021. So, 28 years. 30, doesn't really matter. And now we have the entire, a new part as well, but the entire full original 4 parts and a new sequel. And this dude, who oddly is somehow a part of this story, he's just this person. He's this archaeologist, this paleontologist, and he's found something. And he finds his script, oddly. It's odd because the Phantom, he runs into odd people all the time. And this particular person, for the rest of the parts, we don't see him at all. We don't see him at all. We only see him in the first probably 5-10 pages of the first part. And then all of a sudden, he disappears. Because, I guess because there's no really a good purpose of bringing him back in the second, third, and fourth parts. But it's just odd that the Phantom, he runs into these ruins. He doesn't even know that these ancient ruins are even there to start with. But he runs into them, and he discovers this person trying to find an amulet, and it just feels odd that this person was there at the exact moment, at the exact time the Phantom found him, without anyone else ever been there. Now, that's not saying that. Okay, also, this bird, watch out for this bird. He plays an absolute major role in this comic book series, in this story alone. It's like this bird doesn't die. Does he? Oh, maybe. So the Phantom, he goes and he has a chat to Junkar, and he's having a look at the ruins with Junkar, and there's this evil Emperor Junkar tells us this ancient story, and he's telling all this stuff to the Phantom, and then there's secretly a person watching on from above. Who is this person? Who is this strange person who was watching the Phantom and Junkar talk? He is eavesdropping. He is absolutely eavesdropping. He has got to be one of the... And then, all of a sudden, this strange dude that we just saw, seeing and watching the Phantom oddly and the Junkar oddly, comes up to the Junkar and the Phantom, and he says, I'll take care of everything until you return. May your journey be safe and enjoyable, Master. And then in the panel before, it says, we left the palace that same afternoon. I am going to visit the Maharaja of Nymphori and will be away for 1 week, Samandal. Don't worry, Your Highness. I'll take care of everything until you return. May your journey be safe and enjoyable, Master. And the Phantom says, I don't know Samandal very well, but he seems to have changed somewhat. You noticed as well, ever since his return from Egypt. Yep, Egypt plays a huge role in these stories. Make note of that. As my ambassador, he seems a very changed person, but I can't fault his loyalty and capability. So there's no need to worry. Anyway, a foreign culture could affect one's outlook on life. No need to worry. And then the Phantom ponders. No need to worry. I wonder if there is something to worry about this new person, this new change of outlook. Does Egypt have anything to do with this storyline? And I'm gonna say it has a very, very big, deep tie-in with this storyline. There is pirates in this storyline. There is this tomb. There is this this secret evil paradise that people think that is so great for them. It's so great for them. And there's this ancient Egyptian weaving of this story where we see that the Anubis, one of the ancient gods of Egypt, is in this paradise. This paradise that when we aren't very sure of ourselves, we can do despicable things. And the reason why we can do despicable things is because people are absolutely, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but people are absolutely high. They're absolutely high. And it's just it's the people that have been high, they're on something. They're on some sort of substance. Really. Sorry, YouTube, for saying that, but they're on something. And it's in this storyline, so I got to talk about it. So the Phantom, he really, really doesn't believe in this paradise. He wraps it all up and grabs them, and he just destroys this paradise. Are the people going to be happy about this destroyed paradise? No. No, they're not. And the Phantom goes, and the light, the dwindling candle light, flickers out. But that will have to wait. Good night, Goran. To be continued in the IBIS Mystery Part 2, Kazim, Master of the Dumb. Few 1874. Okay, representing the classic four-part story. Now we're up to the second part, and let's go. Okay, another beautiful cover. All these covers are interconnecting covers. So you can take one cover and put it to the next one, and follows on to the next three parts. So let's do this. Another great example of Grange Wallace's art. His art is just breathtaking. His art is just breathtaking. I just gotta say that his stuff is beautiful to look at. It's amazing. The colors he uses are terrific, and they're just something else. Like, you can have a look at. I know that his art is fantastic. You can have a look at Alex Tripp's art. He's absolutely blown away. He's absolutely blown me away in the last couple of years of him doing cover arts for the Phantom and other stuff as well. You can have a look at his work and then have a look at Grange's work, and you can see the differences in it. And they're both worldly appraised, and they're both so very, very good. I love those two. Love Grange Wallace's art. I love Alex Tripp's art. Again, look at this. This is amazing. This art is done by Kari Leppänen in his absolute prime. I will say this. I'm going to make a statement here. I'm going to say this and every other. If you were to say, and if you were to look at one of the stories that is to do with historical links, and it has Kari Lepänen's art in it, and this as well, this is Kari Leppänen in his absolute prime. He absolutely killed these stories. He absolutely killed these ones, and they are beautiful. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. And the Phantom, he's continuing this storyline from the Chronicle Chambers. The Chronicle Chambers. Chronicle Chamber. And so there's this slave trader, and he has kidnapped a certain person. And that woman tends to be a very, very highly regarded person, and she's directly implicated in this story. This mad, evil, crazy person lives in this dark enclosure here. The Phantom hears of this. He wants to put to a stop. He finds where this woman is. He eventually fights all the other people away. He goes and visits the good old witch doctors. They aren't happy with him, and they let him have some information. Then this ancient little person comes along. The Phantom says, "Who's that?" "Someone who may be able to help." The dwarf, Bez. He fears Kazim just as much as we do. And he helps the Phantom. He goes into the deepest, darkest parts of that chasm, the deepest, darkest parts of that volcano. He's in the fight of his life. He is in a fight of his life against the Kazim, the person, the crazy person that really wants to take someone's life and take him back to Egypt. He wants to go back to ancient Egypt. The Phantom, there's an absolute water gushing in. He can't be in there much longer. The Phantom is absolutely trying to not kill himself, and he saves the lady. He then finds these ancient Egyptian relics and takes them with him. And he explains to Guran that the purpose of these ancient relics is that when it is very dangerous, and the dangerous powers, when it is opened, you can see the same image of the evil IBIS as you can see on the bracelet. And there we go. There's part 2 done. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art. Beautiful art by Grange Wallace. Okay, so we've got IBIS Mystery Part 3, Scarface. Scarface and a heap of these stories. Like, if you were to say, I'm going to say this, if you were to pick over Norman Worker and Klaus Murphy out there in the YouTube universe, who would you pick? Norman Worker or Klaus Murphy? They are both fantastic writers, both fantastic in their prime, and unfortunately, Klaus Murphy passed away a couple of years ago, which is, we're all as Phantom fans still very, very deeply saddened about his passing, and we now, I think a lot of people now appreciate his work, and I appreciate his writings a lot more, and a lot of people appreciate his work. I'm not saying that people didn't appreciate when he was still alive. It's just that there's a different appreciation. There's like a admiring his work through the stuff that he went through. Like at the beginning of his career, Klaus Murphy, at the beginning of his career, he's known as a name. It was known as a name called Michael Therese, and that was a pseudonym. That was a pseudonym to like get his name out there, and then somewhere along the lines, he's then changed his pseudonym and came with his own name, which is Klaus Murphy. And I think in the passing, there was also he contributed a couple of stories, including in the Daily Script, and that was between Lee Falk passing away and like the changeover. It was a huge changeover through when Lee Falk passed away in 1999, and there was a massive change. And we had 2 writers trying to get the same job. And there was Tony DePaul and Klaus Murphy, a Norwegian type writer, and American. And they both hit it out pretty good. And eventually, Tony DePaul would get the job over Klaus Murphy. And Klaus Murphy would go back to writing stories for Phantom Man magazine and Phantom Met comic books, and he had I always like to think that Klaus Murphy, if Klaus Murphy was given the job of doing as the writer for the Daily Script, I would imagine all the stories that Tony has done. Tony's a good writer. He's an absolute brand spanking. He's a great writer. But I just imagine if Klaus Murphy was to be able to have that job and was a writer of the Daily Script, how different it would have been on the Daily Script for the Phantom. How different it would have been. But yeah, as we like to say, Tony DePaul is doing a great job. He's an amazing writer. And let's get into part 3, which is the IBIS mystery, Scarface. Okay, we got the Phantom, a big gigantic serpent. Great. IBIS Mystery Part 3. Writer is Norman Worker. Artist is Kari Lepelin. Let's do this. Lovely art. We get a bit of a reworking, and then there's this ancient serpent who tries and takes on these villages. And then there's this other historical linked character, which is Scarface. And now, all through history, we've had disappearances, we've had people disappear out of thin air, and it still is today. And if you look up who Scarface actually was, Augustus, if you actually look up who Augustus was, or Augie, you'll find a very, very interesting part of history with him. You'll absolutely find an interesting part of history with him. So I looked it up a little while ago, and I looked up who he was, and no one knows who he is. And like, no one knows where he may be buried. No one knows where he is. No one knows if he was still alive, and no one knows if he changed or not. But seeing him in this comic book was just pretty good. I like seeing history in comic books, and especially the Phantom. Klaus Ray Murphy writes amazing history books. Historical linked Phantom comic books. Absolutely love those. So, Scarface, he goes to Egypt after fleeing New York. And he hears about there's this tomb, and he goes into this tomb. He's really trying to work his guys to the bone, and he finds out that Scarface is changed. There's another entity inside him, and the Phantom is on this expedition is in this museum. He finds that there's all these Egyptian things, and then there's this rope. The rope, without stopping until he reached the devil's pan. So he goes to this rope, and there's this person. Diana Walker is trapped, and if this Diana Walker drops, she dies, which isn't great. That's not great. And this crazy man called Kafi, which is an ancient Egyptian term for craziness, wants to absolute kill the Phantom. The Phantom has none of it. He stops his evil plan. The tomb collapses, and we now have what will happen in part 4. The end of that story. We think it's all over. We think, as all Phantom fans, we see that, and the Phantom thinks it's all over, that it's all done and dusted, the dust has settled, to say, but no, we have part 4, and then we have new part. Okay, we have art by Kari Lepelin, and story by Norman Walker. IBIS Mystery Part 4, let's go. So I have a recap of what's happened. The Phantom is still telling his great adventure, and this particular bird that we've seen throughout this series, we've seen throughout this saga, keeps on returning. Who is this bird? Why is this bird returning? Why does it need to return? And that is a big, massive question. We have this lady who stops to see the Phantom. Does this lady potentially know the Phantom? Does this lady potentially have anything to do with this? Maybe. And we think that the person that is behind finally trying to get this Egyptian amulet of the Phantom is still alive. Yes, after all the 3 parts, he's still alive. He still wants to kill the Phantom all so muchly. And the Phantom, he works out that this same dude who looks like a skull, is a skull, and probably should be dead, is the same woman. It's him and it's him. They're same, two different people, same person. We think it's two different people, same person. The Phantom escapes, he goes, the guy still tracks him down, and there's an absolute rush of water. The Phantom, he's in for his life. He's got all of his chips out like he's playing poker. He's all in. The Guren, he's going to try and save the Phantom. The following day, go by the jungle hospital and find out how Carla is, Guren. And then the Phantom, they are trying to find Carla. She's outside the hospital, and she says to Phantom, "I'm glad to see you well again, Phantom. You have recovered rather quickly, Carla. You look very well indeed." And Guren doesn't like her. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like him. And she gives him a piece of paper, and it's a map. And she says, "I knew that Condor had it, and while you were fighting him, I managed to steal the map before I fainted from the smoke. You saved my life, and now let me show you my appreciation by showing you the tomb." Alright. So she takes him, the Phantom, to the tomb, and Guren has his suspicions, and the Guren is has the map, and chains it to his arm, and during the night, Guren has a nightmare. He wakes up, and there's a person right next door to him. This person isn't one of them. This person is an evil entity, is an evil person. They travel on, they're in Egypt, and there's all these ancient Egyptian artifacts. The person behind him, who is he? Is he a person? No. This encapsulating tomb, it's empty. The sarcophagus is empty. Only scraps of molding fabric strips remain. The skeleton at least should be here, but it's not. And the evil entity comes out. He's out, and he says, "Ha ha 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 ha, accept my gratitude, mortals." He tries and takes the Phantom's life, but Guren plays a very deeply dark and good role in this story. Does he take out the evil entity? Is this evil entity gone? Well, we'll just have to find out in part 5. We think he's gone, but we will just have to see. My friend from the deep woods will be quite amazed when I tell him this. And then we have another short story. It's a Heloise on the adventure. She goes on an adventure, splat. And do we find... And she gets back before the Phantom wakes up. It's a cute little story. Rounds up some pirates, some thugs, and gets back before dinner. Probably. And then we have a tribute to the legendary Roth Ernest Goffs, and we still appreciate his work until today. He's an amazing artist, His art has been seen around the world, and he's just a great person, and a great artist, and a great human being, and I'm going to say this, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Roth Goffs, rest in peace. Amazing person, amazing work of artist. Amazing work. Absolutely amazing. And now, to finish off, we have part 5. IBIS Mystery Part 5, and another story called The Strange Day of Witchman, which I think continues on in the next issue. Or something. Okay, The Phantom, the IBIS Mystery Part 5, The Revenge of Chaffee. writer is Andrew Constant, and the artist is Raphael Dantas. Now, we have some japes. They're banging, and they're trying to get this guy. He falls out. He's very, very dry-witted. He's very in a state of very dry-wittedness, and he falls upon this ancient tomb. Ancient ruins, haven't we heard that before? Yes, he gets into this ancient ruins, he's scarred, and now it all is gonna happen again. We're getting into the same situation as before. And the Phantom hears of this. The Phantom understands, and this dude that was thinking that he had solved something, he has this strange power over him. And once again, we see that IBIS, that evil, evil IBIS, and it's back. This person is terrorizing tribes. He wants to kill Guren, and they say, no, my chief, and Guren, you won't hurt Al. And they smack those other two out of the way. No, die! And this person won't die. He is hit. He is clobbered, and he will not go without a fight. He is unhuman-like, and we think that the Guren isn't dying. We think that Guren is death. We think that Guren is dying, but he's not. The Phantom comes to the rescue. He visits it, and we see that Guren is in the way. Guren is the part that drives the Phantom to where he needs to be. And the evil entity says, hello, Ghost Man. It's been a while, too long. Who is this person? Is it even a person? Is it a bird? Guren, are you okay? He is for now, but probably not for much longer. After all I did destroy me last time we met, I feel I should return the favor. Will the Guren pass away? Will Guren die? It's impossible, but it's you, isn't it, Chaffee? And Chaffee, well, he comes back into his ordinary self. His extraordinary self. He wants the Phantom dead. And to get that, he wants the Guren dead. Because that Guren mucked up his plans, pretty much. And the Phantom wants none of it. He wants to shoot this dude. He wants to get out of it. And he must try. He must try and get out of those ruins. And the person playing a trick on him. The Phantom tries to kill Guren, but he stops himself. He says, no, Phantom. Trapped in the Phantom, that with the Phantom trapped, with the strongest spirit in the world has ever seen. No, what is happening? The only thing that could happen. Your will versus the Phantoms. You were defeated the moment you chose your plan. No, please, this is unfair. This is unfair. Oh, crybaby. This is not an experience I would recommend, and you may not be able to. The temple is starting to collapse, so the temple collapses. They get just out in time, and, well, let's make sure. And they kill this absolute emerald. It's gone, and you think it's gone, and you hope it's gone, and a short while later, Dad, what does this mean? Is all this finally over? Is Chaffee finally out of our lives for good? I hope so, Guren. I hope so. The end. Until next time, until probably part 6, the end. Okay, we have this other story. It's called Strange Tale of Witchman. It's by Shane Foley. It's pretty good. And it's great artwork. And it continues next issue, I'm guessing. Very, very good story. This person wants the Phantom's help. This Phantom goes to the person and this person enters another world. The Phantom enters another world. He's in this other world. He's a warrior. He is... he's helping this other person. And these witchmen, these witch doctors, think that this person is evil. So they try to kill her. And the Phantom doesn't want any of it. The Phantom takes control of the situation and absolutely clobbers the heck out of the witch doctors. Pardon me. And he inhales too much of the dust. My hab swams, but I still are able to punch him solidly. And the guy, well, he falls over. He's over the reach and death, and there's a translucent image of a snake. Surely it's a delusional. Surely I was delusional. Is he? To be continued. And then we have these cards. You can get these cards from www.phantomcomic.com.au, and they're for $33 plus postage within Australia. It's the new Phantom's World cards. Get them while they last. Okay. Rightio. That is the cover art for the final part. I hope you enjoyed this journey of looking at some very, very cool Phantom comics, very, very cool Phantom saga. I hope you enjoyed this saga. I hope you enjoyed watching this live comic book review, and our next live comic book review might be on Sunday, tomorrow. It'll be on tomorrow, and I will be reviewing a couple more comic books. We've got some Jeremy McPherson art to have a look at, and a story called The Visitor. So that should be awesome. That should be absolutely mint. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching me review the complete IBIS mystery saga. And as always, keep Phantom caving, stay safe, and I will be back here. I will be back reviewing another live comic book review tomorrow on Sunday, and it's going to be awesome. And there's going to be a lot more live comic book reviews coming up to my break, so stay tuned for that, and peace and see yous. Bye. Bye.